Hello everybody. I had so much fun doing the Nintendo Switch repair with the video camera setup, I figured I would try it with this MacBook Air 2017 A1466. Now, this one I haven't even put a meter onto, I have not plugged it in, but I'm gonna just diagnose it. I've done no testing, I've put no power on it. All I've done is read the customer's description, and I am gonna diagnose this MacBook Air right now. So, you ever watch Johnny Carson? Remember when he'd hold the envelopes up to his head? I know I'm showing my age, but here we're gonna hold the MacBook Air to our head and go, dead PCH. This thing is junk. Let me show you why I'm making that prediction. Put this back. Get the camera set up. There we go. Let me show you why I'm making this prediction. The customer sent me some notes. So even though I haven't even touched this machine, I'm telling you, it's toast. And let me explain why. His name is, because I can't share that over the internet or he'd get a bunch of phone calls and that wouldn't be fair. Over voltage spike by soundboard through headphone jack. Tested both battery and I/O board from another MacBook. That means somebody has torn into this thing. But, you know, I didn't know that. All I knew is an over voltage spike on the headphone jack. And neither fixed the issue. The charger light turns on, but no fan, spin, or boot. Thanks. Okay, whenever I see these come in from DJs and they have over voltaged the headphone jack because they're using that to run their gear, they're toast. They're just toast. So let's turn it over. Let's get the case out of it. Need to get some screwdrivers here. All right, here's a T5. I'll use that for the motherboard. Here's a Pentalobe 4. This is what I use for the case. So, wait a minute. All right, so the person who sent me this MacBook has done me a favor. They've taken all the screws out for me. So that's always a good sign. So let's just take it open. Let's take a look at it. Excuse me, guys, I have a cold. So I can tell right now that we're missing a fan and a DCM board. And they did mention that they tried the DCM board and that didn't help. I can see that they've left the Wi-Fi disconnected, battery disconnected. So I can tell they've had the board out. So I could bother putting a DC in and a fan and checking it out. But I'm going to jump straight to it here because I believe this has got a dead processor because the PCH has been smoked by a DJ. So let's take a look. My probes run underneath my desk. It's kind of handy. So I'm going to just make sure my meter's turned on here. It is. Let's go ahead and check that PCH resistance to ground, which should be at least 150 k ohm. Or not k ohm, but I want to see 150 ohms or better right here. This is the buck converter that's going to run this side of the chip. Let's go ahead and take a look. We have a short, which is exactly what I expected to have. This is toast. It's less than an ohm. It's like a quarter ohm resistance, which accounts for the resistance in these cables. So let me go ahead and put this probe on here so you can see that on my meter. I do not have another camera and a switcher, and I can't do what Louis Rossman does and all those other guys that have made money long enough to afford the cool gear, but we're working on it. Wow, come on, get in here. There's a good spot for ground. There's ground. I'm gonna check it with my probe. Great. So now I'm going to flip the camera around and let you see. This is a great meter, by the way. This is an HP meter. Man, I love this meter. It is so quick, it's so right on. And the best part is I run the cables from the back. Let's go ahead and check our resistance to ground here. I'm gonna Put this on here. What do we got? We got a dead short, man. That chip's toast. Toast. I could probably go ahead and isolate it by taking this coil off, but you know, I'm not even going to do that. I know the chip's dead. It's been DJ'd, which is sad, you know. You think maybe they make some audio gear for these guys that create some surge protection for them, but let me just go ahead and get my microscope over this thing. Get it focused in. And I'll take it off with you. And let's see if we can get it zoomed in. You can see what I see as I take it apart. Get this up here a little bit. There. So you'll be able to see what I see as I take this chip apart. The PCH is on this side of the processor. Let's go ahead and just spin this puppy off of here. More than likely, we're going to be able to see some damage to the die itself, or we're going to be able to see some leaking around the die. But unfortunately, people, this is a MacBook Air that is not going to get fixed. I mean, I can change the chip. I have a Metcal BGA rework station over there. I can definitely change the chip. Unfortunately, this is a $160 chip, and to use the Metcal is $150 right out the gate. So that totals this board. Let's see what we look. I'm gonna look in the microscope. I do not see physical evidence on here, but I know it's toast. But I was hoping we'd get to see some damage on the sides here. I don't see it. So this is one of those failures where you're not going to see visual evidence of the short, but it's there. Whenever you've got a short right here, you've got a blown PCH. So this MacBook isn't going to be repairable unless the person buys a board. Let's just zoom this out a little bit. Let's go ahead and get this board out of here. And let's see what board the customer would have to buy to fix this. It's really too bad, man. I mean, nothing like a spike on the audio cable, which goes straight into the processor to cost you a whole board. Man, he didn't even put all the screws back in the motherboard. I've worked on enough of these to know that when a DJ has hit it, it's over. We are looking at a 1.68. So this is a 1.6 gigahertz, 8 gig RAM machine. I'm gonna pull up this processor tape anyway. And that's the thing you got to be worried about too on eBay. You'll see people selling used boards, and they're cooked just like this one, and they know it. So whenever you buy a board from somebody on eBay, if it's coming from a repair shop like me, don't buy it unless you're wanting to change a processor, because that's the only reason I'd sell a board. Especially an 8 gig RAM A1466 820000165 logic board, which is exactly what this is. I'm going to turn the brightness up on my scope. I have a fiber optic ring light so I can get pretty bright. I'm going to take one more look around just to see if I can find physical evidence so I can share it with you guys. But they don't always exhibit physical evidence. And this is one of those. It's not going to show any signs of physical damage. There is none. But we're definitely down here. So that's the end for this board. With this PCH shorted right here, because Intel built it into this processor, there's no saving it without taking this chip off completely and replacing it. And because this chip has hundreds upon hundreds, if not over 1,000 pins, the only way you can take it off is with that machine. That's a $20,000 machine. To use that machine is a instant $150 fee on top of everything else. So there's just no way that this is economically feasible to change a processor on this board, unfortunately. So I'm going to go ahead and message this customer and let him know, hey, we got a A1466. I got to put a whole new logic board in. Then he may want to buy the faster one, the 2.2 gigahertz logic board with the 8 gig of RAM. He may want to do a little upgrading there. But hopefully he's a little more careful, he or she is a little more careful with the headphone jack, because you get a surge in that headphone jack and it just blows everything up. All right, that's it for this video.